Hey guys, welcome back. We're getting ready to skin a big old bobcat in here this morning, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to go over something with you. And this is good information whether you're a hunter that's getting ready to take a bobcat or a fox or any of your smaller life-size mammals to the taxidermist, or whether you're studying taxidermy. This is just good information, so let's get to it. Alright guys, so I got this big old bobcat here and I'm getting ready to skin him out, and I just wanted to go over with you how to properly measure a life-size mammal, or one of your smaller life-size mammals, so to speak, for getting a proper fit with your taxidermy. And this is good information even for a customer standpoint. Even if you're not studying taxidermy, then being able to understand a couple of the primary measurements that are important. That way, if you're looking at poses or looking at taxidermy catalogs, not all of those, sometimes these forms may be in a size that doesn't necessarily fit your bobcat. And while a form can be customized, or a form can be sculpted or made to fit your specific cat in a pose that maybe you want, it may not meet those budget limitations that you're looking for. So just good information for even if you're not studying taxidermy. But we're just going to go ahead and jump right into some of these primary measurements, and we have an excellent specimen here this morning because just again, this is a big Virginia bobcat that came in recently, and I weighed him the other night. He's just now gotten to where he's enough thawed out to where I can deal with him, but he weighed 30 pounds and 3 ounces, which is a pretty healthy cat. And so a couple little tips I'll go over too. As these things are thawing out, you don't want to just like put them on the floor and leave them. You want to kind of like go and, of course, roll it over. That way it's kind of equally thawing out. You also want to watch for if there's like blood or anything that's kind of pooling around it. You don't want it laying in a pool of any kind of blood or any fluids. You want to have the best specimen possible to work with. And so, so jumping right into some of the measurements, something that you're going to want to have is a caliper. This is just a little cheap aluminum caliper, and the only measurement that's going to be important on the before we skin it is going to be right here on your eye to nose measurement. And we're going to be measuring from the tip of the nose. You can see this cat's pretty dry from the freezer. I have another video where I was talking about freezer burn concerns, but we're going to be measuring from the tip of the nose to the corner of the eye right here. And that's why a caliper is really great for that, because we'll actually get a tape and see what kind of variation we get if we don't use. And this is one of those things where it helps to have a third hand. But get in here and just kind of lock the caliper in place, and then you can tighten it up too, make sure you're where you want to be. And it's not nuclear science, so it doesn't necessarily have to be within a 32nd of an inch, but at that point take your tape and then you can use your caliper to figure out where that's at. And so this is right at a 2-inch eye to nose measurement. Right there you can see. So I'm going to put that 2-inch, and I'm going to put that back on there just to make sure I didn't move it. And again, this is your eye to nose measurement. This is, without looking at the one of the manuals, I think they refer to this as the A measurement. And again, so that's a 2-inch eye to nose measurement. And you'll want to make a note of that because that's definitely a primary measurement that we're going to take, and or we're going to need for ordering the form. So our next measurements that we're going to be focusing on, I'll go ahead and get this one. And again, I'm going to show you this prior to skinning it out, but these measurements are not going to be important to me until I've actually taken the hide off of this bobcat. just jumping on into it now, I'm going to roll him over and show you this next measurement first. He's still a little frozen. Might be able to get him where I want, but I'm going to just lay him out kind of flat as I can. Show you this measurement here. Make sure he's good and relaxed. And make sure that spine's nice and not curled up real too much. And you're going to want to take, in that same, from the tip of the nose, now we're going to go to the base of the tail, right here where the bony part of the tail meets the glutes, I guess it would be. So right there, the base of the tail. And again, it's not rocket science. So I mean, you're going to find that you know, basically within, you know, a quarter of an inch or so, a lot of times that's what you have to do, is you have to do some rounding to figure out where exactly your form lies as far as the right size. And again, typically I would have this cat skinned out, which I will in a little bit, and I would take this measurement on the carcass itself. And one good thing about that, especially with these little vinyl tapes, is the tape just like will actually stick to the carcass itself, and you can pretty much lay it right where you want. So I'm going to run this down there, and I'm sitting at about 32 inches. So right now I've got, and I always like to measure, you know, a few times, make sure nothing moved on me. But again, I'll be measuring this one on the carcass itself here in a little bit. Run it right along that spine, find that base of the tail, and it's actually probably, I'd call this 32 1/4, but again, have to round, and I typically will recommend that you round down. After you've done a few mounts, you kind of learn which ones are more forgiving, which skins will actually open up more, so to speak. And a bobcat is that way. He will definitely give you a little bit more. So just write down the measurement that you take, and then when you start looking at the forms, then you'll be able to decide which way you want to go and which is closer. And again, you can get into altering your forms based on your experience or your confidence level to do that, you know. So our next measurement that we're going to want to look at, and again, typically would be on a skinned cat or skinned mammal, but you basically just want to pull this fairly snug and look. And for the time being, again, I'm just trying to show you it's the widest part of the abdomen, and this is the D measurement, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to just call this a 21 inch for the time being. Again, after he's laid out, I'll let this this tape fit just kind of loosely around everything, and I kind of suspect that it's going to fall within that 21 inch mark. So I've got a 2 inch by 21 inch, 2 inch out of nose, 21 inch girth, and then it was a 32 tip of the nose to the base of the tail measurement. And so what that does for me, even with getting these general measurements right now that may change a little bit after I get the hide off on a couple of those measurements, I can at least look in that catalog now and start looking at if there's a pose that maybe a customer is mostly interested in. Then I can say I've got forms that are close enough that I can work with, or maybe we should look at a different series or look at some different vendor poses and such and get a closer size. Of course, like most taxidermists, we have our preferences on certain forms. And so I'm going to get to work skinning this cat. Got a good bit of work to do, and got several measurements to take. And so you guys be sure and hit that subscribe button down there. That way you can check back in on me for some further progress on this guy, and we'll see you next time.